Hey guys, welcome back to the SOC Level 1 walkthrough. So in this video, we are going to cover the Endpoint Security Monitoring. Okay, so let's get started with it. And the first one in this module is Intro to Endpoint Security. Alright, so in this room, we will introduce the fundamentals of Endpoint Security Monitoring, essential tools and high-level methodology. This room gives an overview of determining a malicious activity from an endpoint and mapping it related events. Okay, to start with, we will tackle with the following topics to build a stepping stone and how to deal with endpoint security monitoring, endpoint security fundamentals, endpoint logging and monitoring, endpoint log analysis. So no answer is needed here. So we'll move on to task 2. So you can read through this. What is the normal parent process of services.exe? The answer is winit.exe. What is the name of the network utility tool introduced in this task? So the answer is TCP view. So you have to just go through all the activities and you can move ahead. So task 3. Alright, so what is the PowerShell CMD let for viewing Windows event logs? The answer is get win event. Provide the command used by enter OSQuery CLI. The answer is this. What does EDR mean? Provide the answer in lowercase. So EDR means endpoint detection and response. Moving on to task 4, click on the green view button in this task to open a static lab and start investigating the threat by following the provided instructions. So like I said in the previous videos as well, these modules will have a lot of practical work. So it is expected that you do these practicals first, and then if you get stuck anywhere, you can use this video to answer the questions. So once you perform that activity, you will get this flag. You can enter it here and move on to the next one. So that will conclude your first intro to endpoint security module, and we can move on to the next one, which is core Windows processes. So in this room, we will explore the core processes within a Windows system. The room aims to help you know and understand that normal behavior within Windows operating system is. This foundational knowledge will help you to identify malicious processes running on an endpoint. Okay, so you can start your machine and you can use these credentials and start the activity. So in the task 2, we have no answer is needed. We can move on to task 3. Let's check. So the question here is, what PID should system always be? The answer will be 4. In the task 4, there is again one question. What other two processes do smss.exe start in session 1? So this is related to the activity. So keep doing the activity, and alternatively you can keep answering these questions below. So this is the answer for this one. We'll move on to task 5. What was the process which had PID 384 and PID 488? The answer is smss.exe. In task 6, again we have only one question. Which process might you not see running if credential guard is not enabled? The answer is this. Then we'll move on to task 7. How many instances of services.exe should be running on a Windows system? The answer is 1. So task 8. What single letter parameter should always be visible in the command line or binary path? It's K. In task 9, what is the parent process of LSASS? The answer is winit.exe. Task 10. What is the non-existent parent process for winlogin.exe? The answer is smss.exe. Task 11. What is the non-existent process for explorer.exe? The answer is userinit.exe. And that brings us to the conclusion of this module. So you can see that it was completely practical based, and it is very important that we perform these practicals very carefully to understand the concepts. Alright, so we'll move on to the next one, which is Sysinternals. So what are the tools known as Sysinternals? The Sysinternal tools is a compilation of over 70 plus Windows based tools. Each of the tool falls into one of the following categories: file and disk utilities, networking utilities, process utilities, security utilities, system information, and miscellaneous. So you can read through this, use these credentials and start the activity. When did Microsoft acquire the Sysinternal tools? 2006. So no answer is needed here. Move on to task 2. Keep doing the tasks here. What is the last tool listed within the Sysinternal suite? It's Zoomit. So in task 3, what service needs to be enabled on the local host to interact with live.sysinternals.com? The answer is web client. So in task 4, there is a text file on the desktop named file.txt. Using one of these three discussed tools in the task, what is the text within the ADS? So once you do this task, you will understand and you will get the answer. So the answer here is I am hiding in the stream. Task 5, using Whois tools, what is the ISP organization for the remote address in the screenshots above? So the answer is Microsoft Corporation. So for task 6, again go through these resources. Run auto runs and inspect what are the new entries in the image hijacks tab compared to the screenshots above. No answer is needed. What entry was updated? Task manager.exe. What is the updated value? This is the updated value that you have to enter and click on done. So in task 7, no answer is needed. So you can move on to task 8. Again, no answer is needed. You just have to, whenever there is no answer needed, just ensure that you are reading through the resources carefully. Again, run the strings tool on zoomit.exe. What is the full path to the .pdb file? So this is the full path. You can enter and click on done, which will bring you to the conclusion for this Sysinternals module. Okay, we'll move on to the next one, which is Windows event logs. So what are event logs? As per the Wikipedia, event logs records events taking place in the execution of a system to provide an audit trail that can be used to understand the activity of the system and to diagnose problems. So you can read all about the basics of event logs here, and the credentials for the activity is given here. So you can start. We'll go on to the task 2. What is the event ID for the first recorded event? It's 40961. Filter on the event ID 4104. What was the second command executed in the PowerShell session? The answer will be who am I. Just keep following the activity and you will get the answers by yourself. In case you get stuck, you can refer to this. So what is the task category for event ID 4104? Execute a remote command. Analyze the Windows PowerShell log. What is the task category for event ID 800? Pipeline execution details. Moving on to task 3. How many log names are in the machine? It's 1071. What event files would be read when using query events command? The answer is this. What option would you use to provide a path to a log file? The answer is this. What is the value for queue? The answer is xpath query. The questions below are based on the command, so no answer is needed here. What is the log name? The log name is application. What is the RD option for event read direction? What is the C option for maximum number of events to read? Okay, moving on to task 4. Execute the command from example 1 as is. What are the names of the logs related to OpenSSH? So the answer is OpenSSH admin, OpenSSH operational. Execute the command from example 8. Instead of the string policy search for PowerShell, what is the name of the third log provider? So this is the answer for that. Execute the command from example 9. Use the Microsoft Windows PowerShell as the log provider. How many event IDs are displayed for this event provider? The answer is 192. How do you specify the number of events to display? It's max events. The answer is this. When using the filter hash table parameter and filtering by level, what is the value of informational? The answer is 4. Moving on to the task 5. Using getWin event and xpath, what is the query to find WLMS events within a system of this date? The answer is this, and it's a long answer, so just ensure that you're copy pasting it from the activity correctly. Similarly, for this second question, just enter the answer correctly or else you'll keep getting an error. Based on the previous query, how many results are returned? The answer is 2. Based on the output from the question 2, what is the message? A user account was created. Still working with Sam as the user, what time was the event ID 4724 recorded? So this is the format. What is the provider name? Microsoft Windows Security Auditing. Moving on to the sixth one, no answer is needed in task 6. Moving on to task 7. What event ID is to detect a PowerShell downgrade attack? The answer is 400. What is the date and time this attack took place? So this is the answer. A log clear event was recorded. What is the event record ID? It's 27736. So what is the name of the computer? PC01.example.corp. What is the name of the first variable within the PowerShell command? This is the answer. What is the date and time this attack took place? This is the date and time. What is the execution process ID? 6620. What is the group security ID of the group C enumerated? This is the answer. What is the event ID? 4799 is the answer, which will brings us to the conclusion. You can read through these resources and then move on to the next one, which is Sysmon. So Sysmon is a tool used to monitor and log events on Windows. Is commonly used by enterprises as a part of their monitoring and logging solutions. Part of the Windows Sysinternals package, Sysmon is similar to Windows event logs with further detail and granular control. Alright, so we'll move on to task 2. No answer is needed. We'll move on to task 3. Again, deploy the machine and start Sysmon. In task 4, how many event ID 3 events are in this path? The answer is 73,591. What is the UTC time created for the first network event in this path? The answer is this. In task 5, no answer is needed. In task 6 also no answer is needed. And in 7 also no answer is needed. So basically you just have to do the activities and just click on done, and it will keep moving forward with your progress. Also in 8 no answer is needed. 9 also no answer is needed. Directly in task 10 we have lots of questions now based on the activity that we are doing. So just ensure that you are following each and every step properly. What is the full registry key of the USB device calling svchost.exe in the investigation 1? So this is again a long answer, so make sure you enter it correctly. What is the device name when being called raw access read in investigation 1? This is the answer. What is the first exe the process executes in investigation 1? The answer is this. Where is the full path of payload in investigation 2? Again the path, this answer is big, so ensure you are entering it correctly. What is the full path of the file of the payload masked itself as in investigation 2? This is the path. What signed binary executed the payload in investigation 2? This is the path again. What is the IP of the adversary in investigation 2? 10.0.2.18. What back connect port is used in investigation 2? 4443. What is the IP of the suspected adversary in investigation 3.1? 172.30.1.253. What is the host name of the affected endpoint in investigation 3.1? This is the host name. What is the host name of C2 server connecting to the endpoint in investigation 3.1? It's Empire C2. Where in the registry was the payload stored in the investigation 3.1? This is the answer. What PowerShell launch code was used to launch the payload in investigation 3.1? Again a very long answer, just ensure that you are entering it correctly. What is the IP of adversary in investigation 3.2? So the IP address is 172.168.103.188. What is the full path of the payload location in investigation 3.2? This is the full path. What was the full command used to create the scheduled task in investigation 3.2? So this is the full command here again, a long answer, enter it correctly. What process was accessed by the sch tasks.exe that would consider suspicious behavior in investigation 3.2? It's lsass.exe. What is the IP of the adversary in investigation 4? 172.30.1.253. What port is the adversary operating on in investigation 4? Port 80. What C2 is the adversary utilizing in investigation 4? The answer is Empire. Alright, so with that we'll move on to the next one, which is OSQuery, the basics. So the OSQuery is an open source agent created by Facebook in 2014. It converts the operating system into relational database. It allows us to ask questions from the tables in SQL queries, like returning the list of running processes, a user account created on the host, and the process of communicating with certain suspicious domain. It is widely used by security analysts, incident responders, threat hunters, etc. OSQuery can be installed on multiple platforms: Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and FreeBSD. So in task 2, again we just have to keep connecting with the lab and performing the activities. In task 3, how many tables are returned when we query table process in the interactive mode of OSQuery? Answer is 3. Looking at the schema of processes table, which column displays the process ID for the particular process? It's PID. Examine the .help command. How many output display modes are available for the .mode command? The answer is 5. Moving on to task 4, in OSQuery version 5.5.1, how many common tables are returned when we select both Linux and Windows operating systems? 56. In OSQuery version 5.5.1, how many tables for Mac OS are available? 180. In the Windows operating system, which table is used to display installed programs? In Windows operating system, which column contains the registry value within the registry table? Data. So moving on to task 5, using OSQuery, how many programs are installed on this host? 19. Using OSQuery, what is the description for the user James, creative artist? When we run the following search query, what is the full SID of the user with RID 1009? This is the answer for that, and you have to enter the query in the activity. When we run the following search query, what is the Internet Explorer extension called installed in the machine? The answer is this. After running the following query, what is the full name of the program returned? It's Wireshark 3.6.8 64-bit. So next is the challenge and the conclusion. Which table stores the evidence of process execution in Windows OS? User assist. One of the users seems to have executed a program to remove traces from the disk. What is the name of this program? Diskwipe.exe. Create a search query to identify VPN installed on this host. What is the name of the software? It's Proton VPN. How many services are running on this host? 214. A table auto-exec contains a list of executables that are automatically executed on the target machine. There seems to be a batch file that runs automatically. What is the name of this batch file? With the extension .bat, bat startup.bat. What is the full path of the batch file found in the above question? So this is the full path. Enter it correctly and click on done, which will conclude this submodule, and we will move on to the final one, which is Wazuh. So Wazuh is a free open source and enterprise ready security monitoring solution for threat detection and integrity monitoring. So again, created in 2015, Wazuh is an open source, freely available and extensive EDR solution. It can be used in all scales of environments. It operates on a management and agent module. Simply, a device is dedicated to running Wazuh named a manager, where Wazuh operates on a management and agent model, where the manager is responsible for managing agents installed on the devices and you would like to monitor. Let's look at the diagram below so you can check this. Read through the resources. When was Wazuh released? 2015. What is the term that Wazuh calls a device that is being monitored for suspicious activity and potential security threats? Agent. Lastly, what is the term for a device that is responsible for managing these devices? The answer is manager. In the second one, no answer is needed. We can move on to third task. So navigate to the agents tab by pressing the Wazuh agents. So no answer is needed here. How many agents does the Wazuh management server manage? 2. What are the status of the agents managed by Wazuh management server? The answer is disconnected. So task 4, how many security event alerts have been generated by the agent 001? The answer is 196. You will be getting these answers by performing the activities, so keep performing them simultaneously. In task 5, no answer is needed. In task 6 also no answer is needed. So wherever there is no answer is needed, the main objective gets completed in the activity itself. So in task 7, what is the name of the tool that we can use to monitor system events? Sysmon. What standard application on Windows do these system events get recorded to? The answer is Event Viewer. Task 8, what is the full file path to the rules located on the Wazuh management server? So this is the full path. Again, task 9, what application do we use on Linux to monitor events such as command execution? It's Audit D. What is the full path and file name from where the aforementioned application stores rules? So this is the full path. So task 10, what is the name of the standard Linux tool that we can use to make requests to the Wazuh management server? The answer is curl. What HTTP method do we use to retrieve information from Wazuh management server? The answer is get. What HTTP method do we use to perform an action on a Wazuh management server API? The answer is put. Then just navigate. Use the API console to find the Wazuh server version. So the version you get is version 4.2.5. Moving on to task 11. Analyze the report. What is the name of the agent that has generated the most alerts? So once you analyze it, the answer will be agent 001. And then task 12. So in task 12 again, just import the sample data and just check and explore that sample data, which will basically conclude this entire module. So I hope you enjoyed learning this module. We covered all the sub modules, right from intro to endpoint security to Wazuh. Again, like we have discussed in the previous videos, this series will cover all the question and answers part from all the modules. It is expected that you complete the rest of the practical activities by yourself, and if you get stuck anywhere, you can use these videos to just move forward from where you are basically stuck and just continue with your path progress. Okay, so in the next video we will check the security information and event management, which is the SIEM. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Till then, good luck.